Dr. Wu here, and I'm taking a questionnaire on young adults' opinion, just one, on Hong Kong's housing policies. So maybe it's more than one, just like there's more than one adult. Let's see if this form really will take my name and email address. These are very interesting intervals. There's a 2-year interval, or a 2-year choice, a 3-year choice, a 4-year choice, and then like an everything choice. But there's no choice if people are under 18. That's a possibility. I prefer not to say. I don't think these are all the same type of choice. Basically, people either rent or they own. That's one question. Do you rent or own your house? And then you're asking another question. With whom do you live in your house? So I think there's actually 2 questions here. I own my home, and I live in my home with my wife. Which of the following best describes your financial situation? What does that mean? I'm financially independent and I contribute to household expenses. So I'm not sure these are what I'm actually not sure, because I do both. I am financially independent and I can contribute to household expenses. What is my income? Well, let's see. I'm going over 40,000 here. Okay. This is fine, the 10,000 interval. But what if you don't live in your parents' house? And what if your classmates live with their grandparents, or their aunts, or their uncle? So this is a huge assumption, and so is this. People may neither rent nor own and live with other family, live with friends. I'm not sure about number 6. What does this mean? So, what if you don't apply? I haven't thought about it yet. But what if you've already thought about it and it's irrelevant? Like, I can't apply for public housing. So, if you apply for public housing, how confident are you in receiving a public housing unit within, okay, so be very specific about the constraint, within like 7 years of your application, or 5 years. So try to be a bit more specific and qualify this. In your ideal scenario, what is the earliest realistic time frame you imagine for being able to afford private housing? 10 years after graduating? Ideally, when would you attempt to buy a house or buy a flat? Now, there are many ways to buy a flat, and that includes getting a mortgage. And then there are many types of flats that you can get in Hong Kong, not merely public housing or a private flat. There's also subsidized housing, like home ownership scheme flats. So there are different types of housing scenarios. Okay. Oh yes, here we are, home ownership scheme. Well, I've never thought of it. I think that's a good choice. Requires increasing the supply. This is a yes/no question. This is a Likert scale. Okay, so again, think you should make a statement, not a question. The government should prioritize increasing the supply of public rental housing. Okay. But wouldn't everyone merely agree? Why would people disagree? Maybe you want to have some kind of constraint. Like the government should prioritize increasing the supply of public rental housing over increasing the supply of university places. That's an interesting question for you to ask your classmates. Would you rather have more opportunity for undergraduate university education or public housing? Do you think the home ownership scheme is an effective pathway for young people to own? But what if they don't know about home ownership scheme? And again, this is a Likert scale. You're asking a yes/no question, and my answer is I don't know. This is another question. This is a yes/no question. This is a dichotomous question. Yes or no, or I don't know. Yet you're asking students to respond to Likert scale. The government should introduce stricter policies to curb property speculation. Sure, why not? So even if you make this a statement, people may freely agree because there's very little constraint on their choice. Are you, all right, check the grammar, familiar with the current housing policy in Hong Kong? No, I'm not. And maybe this is one of the first questions you should ask, because you ask a lot about housing policy and your classmates may not know. But again, this is a dichotomous question. You're asking a yes/no question and having students respond with Likert scale. So there's an issue here. You may want to provide Chinese language translation, because what if someone is not familiar with housing policy and they don't know about these things? You may want to ask students for each of these. Rate your familiarity with these. So public rental housing. Completely unaware, completely knowledgeable. I don't know. So you may want to ask a question about each of these to see how aware students are about these things, because I'm not aware of many of these things. I don't know what a green forum subsidized home is. I'm not familiar with starter homes pilot scheme, and I'm not familiar with tenants' purchase scheme. I don't know much about housing policy. Okay, so thank you for the survey and good luck.